Alrighty, welcome to the last class of the day, the fourth class of the day for CT Summer live streams, and today we're going to be talking about funny faces and a fourth grade story. For today, I'm going to get everything ready in 2 minutes. So grab all our supplies and we'll get started. All right. One minute, everyone. "30 seconds, everyone." Alrighty. Today we're going to start with our lesson about funny faces. Okay. So reading the story. First, before we do anything though, we have to write our name on the worksheet. Liz stared at the large envelopes in Mason's hand. The school pictures were here. Liz had been so excited on picture day. She'd just gotten a new haircut and a brand new sweater. Her mother had let her even wear lip gloss. Now she'd finally get to see how the picture turned out. Okay, I'll give everyone a couple minutes to annotate this passage. Basically underline the important details, so I'll give you 3 minutes. Give 2 more minutes. One minute and 30 seconds. Alright, so here's what I would annotate here. One of the key things in this fashion is the school picture, so we'll have to annotate the school pictures right here. These are just excess details that we don't really need to annotate. But another thing that we would need to annotate is now she finally get to see how the picture turned out. Because that's another main idea, because it relates back to the Funny Faces title. And as for our next sentence, when you get your envelope, please locate the spare photo for the classroom display, Mr. Mason said. Mr. Mason had a wall of fame in the back of the classroom. Every year he posted pictures of his students and had them sign their names. Mr. Mason placed an envelope face down on Liz's desk. Retakes are on Wednesday, he whispered. So I'll leave you 2 minutes to annotate to see if there's anything in there that needs to be annotated. 2 minutes, everyone. The clock strikes 9 minutes. One minute left, everyone. "30 seconds, everyone." Alrighty. So now we're going to be reading on the next section. When you get your... So we read this section. I wouldn't really annotate anything here because there aren't really any important details. So let's read the next section. Retakes, Liz panicked. How awful could it be? She took a deep breath and lifted the corner of the envelope. All she could see was her hair. Nothing wrong there. No stray pieces standing on end or anything like that. Liz raised the envelope a little higher, and then she saw it. Her eyes were half closed. She slammed the envelope back down before anyone could see. Liz looked around the room. A few others had envelopes face down on their desks too. Okay. I'll give everyone 2 minutes to annotate that reading. I'll move the two closer together so it's more easily seen. So you're going to be annotating from this passage here to that little line up there, and then in 2 minutes time we'll move on. So 2 minutes, guys, 2 minutes. more minute, everyone. Okay, so the main thing that I would annotate in this first little section here is I would say that I would underline that her eyes were half closed. Because her eyes being half closed indicate that this is what the funny face that she made, relating back to our title up there. And that how awful it could be. There's nothing that I would underline alluding to it. As for our next little section here, a few others had their envelopes face down on the desks too. I would underline that. Because it shows that there was more than one funny face. So, now we move on to the next section. Mr. Mason, can I ask the class a question? Liz said. Mr. Mason nodded. Be my guest. Liz stood up. Did anyone else have a bad picture? My eyes are half closed and I look kind of funny. So I'll give everyone 2 minutes to annotate this passage. You have 2 minutes, everyone. One minute, everyone. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat. 30 seconds left. Ten seconds left. Okay, so I wouldn't underline Mr. Mason, can I ask the class a question? But I would underline, does anyone else have a bad... Whoop, sorry about that. My apologies. Something came up. Whoop. This is what happens when you try to use. This is what happens when you try to use the pen as a mouse. Sometimes it gets a little wonky and clicks on the wrong thing. So trying to click on the right thing gives us this. So, I wouldn't underline Mr. Mason nodded, be my guest. But I would underline, does anyone else have a bad picture? My eyes are half closed and I look kind of funny. Because it relates to the idea of, not only does it relate to the idea of a funny face, but also relates to there being more than one funny face. So I'm going to underline that. And then in my next picture, or in my next passage, I'll say, I'll read, I'm sneezing in my picture, Jeff said. Nothing can be funnier than that. My hair's sticking up on one side, Melanie said. I'll give everyone 2 minutes to decide what they want to annotate on that one. 2 minutes, everyone. minute and 30 seconds, everyone. One minute, everyone. Thirty seconds, everyone. Okay, so moving on to the next picture, or the next passage. What I would annotate here? Well, I would annotate, I'm sneezing in my picture. That could be funnier than that. My hair sticking up one side, because it describes the funny faces and their important details as to what the funny faces look like. So, Liz looked at the Wall of Fame. I have an idea. What if we start a new bulletin board? One for funny pictures. We could call it Funny Faces. She took a picture from her envelope and walked over to the Wall of Fame. She taped her picture on the blank board next to it. Mr. Mason handed her a marker, and Liz wrote Funny Faces in big letters. So I'm going to give everyone, since this is a little bit larger, I'll give everyone, let's say, three minutes to, my apologies, 3 minutes to annotate this. Everyone has 3 minutes. You have 2 minutes, everyone. One minute left, everyone. 20 seconds, everyone. Alright, let's annotate. For the first sentence, I would underline is one for funny pictures, or a board for funny pictures, because that emulates the idea of starting something for funny faces. And then I would circle the detail about calling it funny faces because it ultimately ties back to the main point of the story in the beginning. Then I would edit the last section for the beginning. As for reading the next section, without saying anything, Jeff and Melanie posted their pictures next to Liz's. Several others added their pictures too. Liz looked at the photos and laughed. Mr. Mason, you might want to tell the photographers that there's going to be a long line for retakes. Now, what do we think that this paragraph means, or what this last sentence means? Do a little analysis. What do we think it means? 2 question marks. I'll let you type your ideas in the comment section, so I'll give everyone a minute to type their ideas in the comment section. What do they think this last sentence means? Because I think I have an idea what it means, but I'd like to hear your opinion as well. There's no right or wrong answer for what it means. For what the last sentence means. It's important that you just try and give it your best. You have 30 seconds, everyone. Okay, so I give a little extra time. So I think this means that there's going to be a long line for retakes to take funny pictures, because not everyone had a bad picture to put up on the wall. So I think this means that many people are coming to retake funny pictures. I'll write it a little bit more neatly, because... So are there any ideas as to what it could mean in the chat? None as of now, but I'll write it. I think the sentence... I'll move over here so it's more easily seeable. The sentence means that there will be a long line to retake funny face pictures. Alright. So if you'll give me just 1 minute so that I can get out the get out the worksheet that we're going to be doing. Just bear with me for 1 second. There we go. There it works. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to write our name on the worksheet. So I'm going to get my pen. Write my name. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to answer the 5 questions on the worksheet. So when did Liz suspect there might be something wrong with her picture? I'll give everyone 2 minutes to look back to their annotations and answer that question. 2 minutes, everyone. 2 minutes. One minute, everyone. 1 minute left. $30 seconds left, everyone. 30 seconds left. $15 seconds left. Okay, so when did Liz suspect there might be something wrong with her picture? Well, she might have thought that something might be wrong with her picture when we refer back to our annotations. We go back to the story for a second. Go to our handy dandy annotations. Just before she looked at her photo, because when she had the envelope put it on her desk, Mr. Mason whispered that retakes they would be on Wednesday, and that implies that the picture was bad and would need a retake. So just before she looked at her photo, that is when she would be that's when she would be that's when she would realize something might be wrong with her pictures. So we'll circle C. Now it couldn't be A or it could not be A because when the teacher announced the pictures had arrived, she had no reason to think of anything suspicious going on. For all she knew, she thought her picture was good. Just after she looked at her photo, she had already known that something was wrong. And the question is when she first suspects. It's essential that we understand that we read the whole question and not just one part of the question. Just before she looked at the photo is the right answer because right before she looked at the photo, she had already gotten an inkling that something might have been wrong from Mr. Mason. And then when she looked at the Wall of Fame board, There was no reason to feel scared because it didn't have anything to do with her picture at that point. So moving on to our next question. I'm gonna give 2 minutes to answer this question. So when the clock strikes 34 minutes, then I'll answer the next question. So 2 minutes, everyone. One minute. Thirty seconds, everyone. So let's go to our above annotations for this one. If we scroll back for a second, we go to our above annotations. We see that Liz knew that one of her pictures Liz knew that one of her classmates had bad pictures before she did. How did she know? Well, she knew because even before she asked him, well, she knew because she saw. Sorry, just give me 1 second. Scroll back. She knew that a few others, if we look directly at our annotation, a few others had their envelopes face down on their desks too. So therefore, she had to have known that there was going to be that there was going to be the people were going to have bad pictures in need of retakes, because only the people that had bad pictures got envelopes needed for retakes. Therefore, Liz knew that there were bad pictures and their classmates had bad pictures because she saw the envelopes on the desk. Is that an answer choice? Let's check if that's an answer choice. It's not necessarily an answer choice, but we can answer it because it's a short answer. Who she, Liz, could tell who had bad pictures by who had envelopes face down on their desks. Whoop. Move back just a little bit so you can see the entire sentence. On their desks. Okay. So now we're going to move on to the third answer choice. What best describes Liz? I'll give everyone 2 minutes to come up with a reason for this and an answer. Somewhat Sneaky is not the answer for this one. It could be an answer choice, but it is not the answer that I'm picking on this one necessarily. It might be, but you'll find out in 2 minutes actually, or now 1 minute. 1 minute till I reveal what the answer for this is. "30 seconds, everyone." Okay, what words best describe Liz? Well, I would say Liz is best described as a quick thinker, in my opinion. And I think that's the right answer for this. Well, I think the choice above describes Liz because if we refer back to our annotations, she quickly thought that there was a way to add her classmates' pictures to display without being embarrassed by making the funny faces board, which we annotated. We had it annotated a while ago, but it got erased because when I erased the scrap work, it got a little erased. But we can say that Liz is a quick thinker, and we can say that I chose the choice above because Liz quickly found a way to incorporate her classmates into the display. On to our next question. What word best describes Mr. Mason? I'll give everyone 2 minutes to answer that question. Actually, no. I'll give everyone 3 minutes to answer that question because it might be needing a couple annotations for this one. You have 3 questions, everyone. Or 3 minutes, not 3 questions. My apologies. Once the clock strikes 40, 3 minutes left. Three minutes left, everyone. Minute 30 seconds. One minute, everyone. "30 seconds, everyone." Okay, so here for this one, I would say that Mr. Mason is more understanding on this one. And the reason I would say that he's more understanding on this one is because if we refer back to our annotations, let's go back to our annotations and read some passages directly from the story. He understood that having a bad picture is kind of embarrassing at times. It's really rough to have a bad picture, especially because pictures only come around a couple of times per year. So when he put the envelope on the desk discreetly, instead of saying, "Hey everyone, Liz had a bad picture," it was being very understanding and kind of him to do that, not to wind up embarrassing Liz in front of the entire class. So he's very understanding in that way as well. And the next, and he understood that the desires for the classes to be included. So he wound up accepting that some people wanted to be included. So if we go to our second passage over here, he handed Liz a marker, and Liz wrote funny faces. He allowed that to happen in his classroom, so he understood the children's need, or the students' desire and need to be included within the story. So if we ultimately come back, or we move our second passage over here, and we ultimately go back to this funny faces one here, we can say that we can say that I chose the above option to represent Mr. Mason because he showed his understanding in two ways. He showed this quality when he quietly told Liz about retakes and when he allowed the funny faces display. So I'm not going to assume anyone else has any questions thus far. I had a great time teaching you about Funny Faces and doing some literary analysis. I had a great time teaching everyone, and I hope everyone has a great day after this. I'm Christopher Tomeo, and I had a great time teaching you guys. Have a great day, everyone. Bye bye.